that time of the year. Let's do another recap. This time, we're at 18 months. It's been 18 months since I've started this running journey, and it is incredible. So much thank you already to everyone that supports me, everyone that subscribes to my channel. If you haven't, please subscribe. And just been amazing just to see how, I have really gone. I started this channel as an obese man that can barely run. Now, but I'm not too bad. I'm not where I want to be. I want to be a pro. Well, I'm not quite a pro, but I want to be a top sub-elite, elite athlete. I want to go to the Olympic Games, and I will go to the Olympic Games. So let's dive into the data and see how much has changed over the last 18 months. Now, the reason I wanted to do today, so normally I would have thought I'd do it end of June, but time of filming is the 16th of June, so it's mid-June. But I want to do it because now I'm basically at the start of my next block. So my previous block ended with the Canberra Marathon and with the Brisbane Half Marathon. I had a week in between to recover, and now straight back into the next build base, the whole next block for Canberra Marathon in, 16 weeks? Not sure exactly, but it's the 1st of November, so not too far away. So what I want to do is, let's have a look. So I've done 2 runs so far this week. I've done 1 interval session, and I've done 1 easy run. So let's have a look at what those sessions were like and compare that to 1 year ago exactly today. Once we've looked at those 2 sessions, 4 sessions, I'll then have a look at the races and show you how my racing has progressed over the last 18 months. So let's start off with this easy run here. So this is what I did yesterday, and you can see 50 minutes, so 5-minute warm-up, minute, 2 minutes, and then into the main set, and then the same cool down. So 40 minutes of easy work with 5 minutes warm-up, 5 minutes cool down. Now you can see the average pace for the session was 6:51 for average heart rate of 128. Perfect. Now let's have a look at this main set. So you can see I do some pickups. So you can see this is at set to 14k per hour on my treadmill. So one thing I'll get into before I get into that is my treadmill is so it is so off. So I need a new one, and I'm looking to get one next 6 to 12 months. But it costs money, so I've been saving every month, a little bit here, a little bit there. So I'll put up some stuff on the screen here, and I'll show you that, like when I did this easy run, I was running it's set to 11.9k per hour. Let's just say 12, which is 5 minutes per k. Is this one here? This is what it says here. 6:30 is what I averaged for this at 11.9. 6:30 is not 5 minutes per k. Now, same with my intervals. So this morning I was set it was 15.3k per hour, which is like 3:45 per k. But when you have a look at the intervals here, I'll get back into this a bit later, but 4:54, well over a minute slower, 4:57, 5 minutes. So 15.3k per hour is 5 minutes per k, when it should actually be 12k per hour. So, you can see it needs to be fixed. I need a new one, but it's when I'm set to 12k per hour, it's pretty consistent. I don't need to worry too much, but it's just knowing that 12 is not 12, but it's consistently 12. So here, let's have a look at this. And so you can see 6:31 per k for this main set at a heart rate of 129. Now, when I compare this to what I did a year ago, let's have a look. And so this is basically the same session. You can see it's a bit longer, 1 hour 37 minutes. It was very consistent pace and power, and then I did a 1 minute at the end. But you can see here, so this is the main set, 8:32 per k for 131 beats per minute. So my heart rate here is 129, so 2 beats a minute slower. 8:30 per k versus 6:30 per k. So I am 2 minutes per k faster at a lower heart rate. How good is that? That's exactly what I want. I want to see my pace get faster, my heart rate not change too much, or to at least, stay, not go too high or too low, but just to be in that sort of same sort of bandwidth. That's exactly what I'm seeing. And so the way that I do get better is I increase the treadmill by 0.1 k per hour every fortnight. So, well, roughly every fortnight. So on a 13-week block, which is a quarter of the year, I go up half a k per hour. So 6 months, I can go up 1 k per hour. 1 year is 2 k per hour, dependent on the treadmill. And so what I have been doing at the past is just slowly increasing the speed, because the treadmill, as you can see, is not very accurate. Let's say it is 5 minutes per k, but what actually is plus minus 10 seconds per k. So it could be 450 or it could be 510. So even on a day-to-day basis, on an interval-to-interval basis, you're not doing the exact same interval. So the way that I do it is by going up just very slightly. The body doesn't actually know the difference. So if instead of 5 minutes per k, and as I said, it's 10 seconds either side, so 450 to 510, maybe it's 455. And so again, you're still in that sort of 10-second bandwidth. So it's 445 to 505. So because there's still that variance, the body feels like it's the exact same session. It doesn't notice that you're actually going slightly faster, and you can trick it. And you can just continuously do. That's what I've done the last 18 months. I've been slowly tricking my body into going a bit faster without actually feeling like it's going faster. And so that's how I managed to cut from, I'm doing 630 per k now to 830 per k exactly a year ago. So that's June 11, the 11th of June last year versus the 15th of June this year. So in 1 year, I cut off 2 minutes per k on my easy run. Now let's have a look at the intervals. So today, as I showed a bit earlier, so I did 5 by 6 minutes. It was supposed to be at roughly my threshold pace, but it's probably a bit easy at the moment. I'm trying to be more on the conservative side. And so you can see here, so 1.23k, so 454 per k, 148 beats per minute. Next one, 151, 152, 153, and then finish at 155. So a lot of people might actually consider this to be more of their easy run, actually. I would not call this an easy run. So it's in my, the bottom of my tempo zone. So my tempo starts from about 148 to 166. So it's in the bottom of the tempo. But I would rather be more conservative and slowly build up rather than just being too aggressive, get hit, get sick, and just not be able to train. So that's why I'm going here. But you can see, so 454, 457, 501. Now, this is actually the fastest I've ever done any intervals. Now, a year ago, here's intervals here, and I was doing 3 minute sets, 3 minute blocks. And so this was 11 by 3 minutes. So it's 33 minutes of work versus 30 minutes of what I did today. But you can see it's at, so here's the first one, 609, 608, 607, 607, 607, 6 minutes per k. So a minute per k slower. So, I did an hour 20 for 10k versus 54 minutes for 9k. So definitely faster. 554 per k versus 743 per k. Again, 2 minutes per k faster. And I did 140 beats there and 142 beats here. So basically the exact same ballpark. 2 minutes per k faster for the same heart rate. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. That's exactly how I plan to progress. And I'm so excited to see what happens next. But what, I don't know if I've already said it, but what I am going to, I'm now going into consolidation phase. So I'm going to maintain that 630 to 640 per k for my easy runs. I'll keep going, pushing up the intervals and the tempo work, but in terms of easy running, I just want to keep it really easy. Because I think I'm at a point now where my muscles just need to kind of just accumulate that time at the fatigue. If I go too long and too hard, I think I'm just going to start pushing into the wrong zones and just not get the right adaptations I want. So between now and Canberra, my pace so I'm going to set to 12k per hour, and it's going to sit there until Canberra. So in November. So we're going to consolidate, we're going to build the base, and we're going to get faster and stronger. But let's have a look at how my racing has actually gone. So I've only done one marathon, so I'm not going to look at that. But over the last couple of years, I have actually done 4 half marathons, and that's what we'll be looking at today. When I think about, well, is one actually a half marathon? So one was actually a 70.3 triathlon. So there was a 1.9k swim, a 90k bike, and then a half marathon. And that was in February of 2023. So let's start with that one and see how that's gone. Now, when you have a look at this, it was down in Hobart. It was a Tasmania 70.3. This was the first time that held it, and it was lovely. They only ended up doing 2 editions, 23 and 24. I didn't do 24 because of personal reasons. I paid for it, I entered it, I booked flights, but I lost the cost of the flights, but yeah, didn't end up going because I had to save a bit of money at that time. But you can see all these dips here, dip down because of I'm walking, because it was pretty tough. So 90 meters of elevation over 21k. Now that's very flat in my books, but it's a 2:14. Now this was off the bike, so I finished in about a 6.5 hour 70.3. So I had 4 hours and 15 minutes of exercise in the legs before I did this. But you can see 6:21 on the average is not too bad. Most of it I actually spent at like 5:40s per k. So it's really the walking that dropped it down that final bit. So if I didn't actually walk, it possibly would have been a sub 2. But this was my first ever half distance, and when I compare that to my second one, and when I compare it to my second one here, this was the Goldman half marathon, and so you can see I did in 2:14:46 compared to 2:14:05. So I was 40 seconds slower in this race than I was in the Tasmania. But there's probably one little bit of walking here, but overall, there was no walking. There was a couple of minutes, and I've got a video on that. Make sure you guys check that out. But you can see it's a lot more consistent. Now, my heart rate here was 169, and when I compare it to here, it's 156. This was definitely more of like a moderate effort because I did have that bike in the legs, whereas this one was like, oh, I am going hard. I'm pushing. And you can really see it. And I absolutely burnt out. I just couldn't finish it. Well, I did finish it, but I just could not finish strong. So this was 3 weeks before my Canberra goal race. I did this. This was the first time I'd done the distance in this build. And so I wasn't 100% sure how my body would hold it because I'd never done 21k, in this sort of build up. But it was good to get the Ks in the legs to show I can do the distance. I can push the time. Now, when I then moved on to Canberra, I absolutely beat that time. It was a 1:59:08. And you can see 5:36 per K. Definitely no walking. No, you know what? I did walk. I walked the aid stations. I would always stop, grab a drink, and continue on. But you can see, I absolutely pushed. Now, 165, my heart rate was actually lower in this race than it was in the Goldman one at 169. 165, and I'm like flying. You can see I push up and up and up and up here at the final bit, and you can see that with the splits as well. So you can see I averaged 165, but from 15 to 20 was 174. Now my threshold is about 175, so it's just under threshold. And then the final K, I absolutely went 180 beats per minute average for that final K in a bit. And I was so close to less than a minute, 1:59:08. I was 52 seconds away from not going sub 2, and this was in November, so this was about 6-7 months ago. That's all changed because that was November. I'm now in June, and so that 1:58 is now 1:46:25. I dropped 14 minutes off my half marathon time. Now, 4:59 per K, average of 166 beats per minute versus 165. So the exact same heart rate, but 40 seconds per K faster, 40 seconds per K faster. Progression is, that's what I'm looking to get. I would love to do another, because I'm doing Canberra half in November again. That's my next goal race. That's what I am working towards. Can I do another 15 minutes? Can I go sub 130? we'll see, probably not. But how much faster can I go? Now this was a bit of a flatter course. It's 143 meters of elevation versus Canberra at 175 and then Goulburn at 170. So Canberra and Goulburn were pretty similar in terms of elevation, but this is a bit slower. So the way that I normally train is I like the hills. Around here it's pretty hilly. So 1% gradient is pretty normal and average. So what I mean by 1%, so for every kilometer, you could do about 10 meters of elevation. So a 10K run should have 100 meters of elevation. So for this 143, I would normally do that in about 14.3K, whereas this is a 21K race. So you can see it's about, what, 60% of what I would normally consider a normal race. So the flatter it is, the faster you are, and the less you have to deal with the undulations. I'm really happy with this progress, and I'm excited to see what happens next. Now let's have a look at my spreadsheets, because if you follow this channel for a while, you know I love my data. And so you can see here, so this is my spreadsheet, and you see I've got all these different data points. Now the one to take note of is this gray one here. This is pace, and you can see it's quite a nice curve down. Now I've got a few data points here just so I can reference, my goal performance. And so this one here, the one on the blue line, this actually represents a sub-2 marathon on the Olympic Games. And what you can see is it's above the line. So what does that mean? If it's above the line, it means it's slower than what it thinks I can do. So the spreadsheet at the moment thinks this is what I could do at that point in time, but that's slower. That's a sub-2 marathon. I'm not saying it's going to do that, but we'll see how the curve changes over time as my running changes. Interesting as well as you can see this cadence. So one thing I've been really working on is my cadence. If you look at the one from the other day, so 180 steps per minute, that's what I did in Brisbane. If you have a look at the Canberra Marathon, it was 170, although that did include a lot of walking. If I have a look at, this is Canberra half, 171. This is Goulburn half, 169. So you can see over time, I've been trying to increase my cadence because I feel like that is what's going to help me move to the next stage, is not necessarily having longer strides going from 90 centimeters to a meter to a meter 10. I mean, I did a meter 11 in Brisbane, but it's that turnover. It's that 180 steps per minute. It's the 190. My goal is to get to about 200. And so you can see this is what it is here, but it says around about the time it'll be 240, which is unrealistic. It's not going to happen. But I would like to be maybe 200 to 210 steps per minute in a race. I feel like that would just help me, the continuous repetitions, lower impact on the muscles and more impact on the heart, because I think that's where my strength lies, is in my cardiovascular system. With my 10 years of cycling and triathlon experience is going to help me with my running. And so focusing on the aerobic strength versus the leg strength, I think that's where I can really thrive in the environment going forwards. And now if I go back to my other spreadsheet, this is the one where I've got all my data. So you can see what I'm planning on doing is kind of sitting at around about the 60 to 80K mark for the next, let's say till Canberra half. Now you can see that's roughly in about this sort of area. Now I did push it in Feb last year, and I think that might have contributed to my Achilles issues, but that's mostly still there, but it's mostly sorted. But so last week I did a very cruisy 34K. Very cruisy. I had supposed to do a 5x5 at threshold. I didn't do it, but ended up being about 34K. Now, if you scroll back all the way up, because this has got all my data. So I peaked here back in end of March, start of April, 34, 36K. Oh man, that was brutal. I was like, I am exhausted. I need a day off. And then I took a week, recovery week, it down to 22K. That's what you're seeing with these progressions, is I could do that so easily. I had a recovery week. I was like chilling, and I was doing more than what I did at the start of this blog. And that's what I really want to get through to people, is It's just about the consistency. I would rather do 6 20-minute runs per week, Monday to Saturday, 20 minutes, versus 1 2-hour run. That's where you get injured, and it's also where it pushes you too much. But 20 minutes, anyone can do 20 minutes. And then you slowly build that up. You go 20, 21, 22 minutes, and slowly get better, get faster, get stronger. And you get to this. I'm still a beginner. I'm still really slow. But there's always room for improvement. There's so much I can do, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. Now, I appreciate you guys all following along on this journey. It's going to be August or September 32, so we've got 6 years, almost exactly 6 years until we race. So I got to make sure I qualify in 5. But as you can see here, in 5 years' time at 2031, so it says I should be able to do about a 3-minute K. So 3-minute Ks is in the marathon is a 2:06. So fingers crossed I can qualify around about here in about 5 years' time, get down to 2:06. I'm really keen to focus on what happens next to see how far we can go. Is this my limit? I really don't think so. Maybe is 4 minutes per K my limit? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Is 3 minutes per K my limit? Probably. But it's onwards and upwards. Let's get that data. Let's go smash those Ks. And I'll see you guys on the next one. One thing I would like to add before I go is I do these videos, this improvements to inspire others, to show my son, if he puts in the work, what he can do. And I make the videos to show you guys, if you put in the work, what you can do too. Now, I am of no illusion that I'm impressive. If anything, I am the most untalented person in the world. Like, I'm literally 93 kilograms when my body should be 65. I am absolutely, significantly overweight. There's so much I can do without even training that would get me a faster runner. And I'm working on that. But the reason I do these videos is to show you, if you put in the work, what you can do. I can guarantee you, anyone watching this, that you have more chance of being a better runner than I do. So what is stopping you from pursuing that? Now, obviously, you don't need to be the best in the world. Not everyone wants to be the best in the world. But maybe you want to be the best that you could be. So if that's the case, I challenge you. Have a go. Have a try. If you put in the work, how much faster can you be than me? Probably quite a bit faster. Probably a lot better than you can actually think of. So have a go. See what you can do. And, I'd love to hear back. If you put in 6 months, 12 months, maybe even 18 months of training, can you go a sub 145? Can you do faster and better than me? I'd love to see that. Drop a comment down below. And if you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed. I'm going to go on this journey for the next 6 years. I've got 6 more years of these videos. I've got 6 more years of this long training and getting better. 5 minutes per K for half marathon. That's not where I'm ending. That's where I'm starting. I'm going to go see how much faster I can get. Now, one thing I would also like to point out is all of these improvements over the last 6 months has happened in spite of an Achilles injury. I was injured from the start of Feb till basically to after my marathon in April. I still get a little bit of niggles here and there, but I haven't been able to do any speed work. It's all been easy running. What does that say? What does that say about what sort of work needs to be put in for the marathon distance, for the half marathon distance?